This video will show you how to install a 4-prong power cord on Whirlpool or electric dryers. Safety first, so always disconnect power before surfacing any electrical appliance. First we need to get to the back of the dryer. If you have a brand new dryer, it won't have a power cord on it at all. This is not a new dryer, but I'm using it for demonstration purposes. The first thing you'll need to do is remove the terminal block access cover. And you have to take that screw off, plus some of the other screws at the top of the rear panel so that it has room to pull out away from the dryer a little bit to let that plate come off. So just remove or loosen those screws as necessary, and then pull that terminal cover plate right up and out of there. It has a little tab that goes into a slot right there. So just pull it out of there, and when you put it back in, that tab will go back in and fold back the same way, of course. So once you get that out of the way, save the screws and whatnot, and you'll use them later to put it back together. Now you can see what we have here. We have a green wire that goes to the body. That's your grounding wire from the machine. And then you have L1, neutral, and L2 terminals on that terminal block. The middle is the neutral. The one on the body is the ground. And then the two outer terminals on the terminal block are the hot wires, L1 and L2. So get your power cord, and we're going to be installing a 4-prong power cord here. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this grounding wire from the machine that can be green with a yellow stripe, it can be green, it can be white, whatever color it is. Remove it from that screw that screws it to the body, because it's going to go a different place now if you're going to have a 4-prong. This is for a 3-prong installation, is when it would stay there. So take that screw out, take the wire, and what I do is I fish it back up and then down underneath the terminal block so that I can have some more slack in it. And you see me pulling it back down and through. While you're doing this, all these edges on this metal on the inside of this area is all sharp, so make sure you're careful not to cut yourself. They don't make the edges smooth on the inside of the machine, so be very careful about that. Now that that wire is out of the way, just leave it there for now. We're going to hook it up here in a minute onto the neutral terminal. But now that we got it out of the way, go ahead and pull out the 4-prong power cord, and let's get it unwrapped. Alright, you're going to see 4 wires, and they're color coded on the 4-prong power cord. And you have a green wire that's going to go to the grounding on the body where that other green wire was. You have a red, a white, and a black. Those are the red and black are your hot wires. The white one is your neutral. So feed all 4 of them in that little access hole there, and then bend them around to where you can get to them all. And the first thing I always do is to install the grounding wire that goes onto the body, because it kind of anchors everything so it can't just slip and fall on you. So get that grounding screw and the green wire off the power cord, and then tighten it down to the body. And that'll be wire number 1 that we'll do, is be the grounding wire to the body. Once that's good and tight, the next thing I'm going to do is the middle wire, which is white. That'll be the neutral. And with the white wire, I'm going to put that other wire that came off of the grounding screw earlier. It's green with a yellow stripe. Sometimes, like I said, they're solid white or solid green. But that machine wire goes with the neutral wire off the power cord and goes on the middle terminal of the terminal block. Now be very careful when you pull those screws out of the terminal block, and when you're putting them back in. If you're not very careful with them, it can fall down inside the machine. Then you have to take the whole back off to find the screw again, and so you can use it. So to save yourself some work, make sure you're very careful not to drop anything down in there. I'm using a power tool to tighten this down, and I should point out that it's on 2 foot-pounds per square inch. You know, it's adjustable for how much power it has. You don't need a lot of torque on these screws. Now I'm removing the right hand side, which is L2 screw from the terminal block, and I'm going to go ahead and attach the red wire there. That's where L2 goes, and that's the red wire. So I put the screw through the little eyelet and attach it, get it started, and then I'll tighten it down once again, 2 foot-pounds per square inch, just enough to get it good and snug. And then lastly, you still have the black wire off the wire terminal, off of the power cord. I'll put the screw from it, get it started, and attach it to the L1 position, which is the left terminal block attachment. Get it started there, and I'll tighten it down. Okay, now that all the terminal wires are screwed in tight and everything, I'm going to go ahead and shove that power cord in through that hole a little bit further. There we go, so that the wires bend back that way, away from the cover plate. Of course, you don't want them up and touching the cover plate. They shouldn't anyways, but just bend it back to make sure, or push the power cord in. Reinstall the terminal cover plate and attach any screws that you removed to the back panel, or tighten them if you just loosened them, but most of the time you have to remove a couple of them to get it to go. And the last step on installing these, if you notice, if you have a brand new power cord, it came with a clamp. It's called a strain relief clamp. It comes in two halves with two screws. The bottom half is the one with the small holes in it. Just feed it in underneath there, feed the tab in, and where the holes will be up straight. The top part has the bigger holes in it. And once you've got the two halves installed, I use a pair of channel lock pliers to hold it in place, so I can then get my screws through the top hole and start it into the bottom clamp hole and get it started. And it's a lot harder than it looks on here, but if you can have someone help you by holding that clamp, it'll be a lot easier. Anyways, once you get those started, you can go ahead and tighten them all the way down, and that will lock the cable in place so that it can't be pulled against the terminal wires that are connected in there. Can't be pulled up against the terminal plate. And it's kind of a safety feature, so if anyone does pull on the cord for whatever reason, you're pulling on the clamp and not on the wire connections. Thank you and have a great day.